What happens when Prince Harry sits across from Megyn Kelly on live television, expecting a discussion about mental health, only to find himself ambushed with loaded questions, sarcastic jabs, and a host who refuses to let him speak? The studio lights were hot. Tension was hotter. Prince Harry adjusted the lapel of his navy blazer, his posture rigid, his expression unreadable as the cameras rolled on the view. The applause from the live audience faded, replaced by the humming anticipation of a segment that everyone expected to be diplomatic. Civil, at the very least. Megyn Kelly was already smiling, but it was the kind of smile you wear when your teeth are clenched behind it. "Joining us today," she began, turning to the audience but keeping one eye fixed on him. As someone who has made more headlines than history books, Prince Harry. There was a smattering of polite claps. Harry nodded with a faint smile. "Thanks for having me," he said simply. Megyn didn't respond. She just turned her chair slightly, crossing one leg over the other. "So," she began, "you've said recently that the media is toxic, that the press in the United Kingdom mistreated your wife, and even that your own family silenced you. But is it really silencing when you're making $1,000,000 deals to speak everywhere else?" Harry blinked. His smile tightened. "I think what I've always tried to say is that." "No, I get it," she cut in. "You've tried to say a lot. There's been the docuseries, the book, the interviews, the mental health podcast, the Netflix documentary, the emotional confessions, the therapy live streams. You've really tried to say it all." The crowd chuckled nervously. Harry tilted his head. It's important to speak your truth when so much of it's been distorted. Megyn's eyes flashed. Right. And the truth is always whatever suits the narrative that week. He shifted slightly in his chair. "If we're going to start this with mockery, I'm starting with facts," she snapped. "You were born into a palace, Harry. People looked up to you. They respected you. And now they're watching you sell your legacy like it's a brand collaboration." The room stiffened. Even the co-hosts glanced at each other. Harry took a deep breath. "I didn't ask for a legacy. I asked for space." Megyn leaned forward, voice cool. "And yet here you are, in front of a live studio audience, on a daytime talk show, promoting your podcast again." The camera cut to Harry's face, which now held a flicker of disbelief. "I came here to talk about mental health," he said, jaw clenched. "Yes, and you've turned that into a career." "Let's be honest," Megyn replied. "You've monetized your trauma like it's a subscription service." The crowd winced. Harry turned to the other hosts, looking for some semblance of fairness, but no one interrupted. Megyn pressed on. "You talk about privacy, but write entire chapters about your frostbitten parts. You say the press ruined your life, but your face is on more thumbnails than a Marvel trailer. Do you ever stop to ask if maybe, just maybe, people are tired of hearing you complain?" He leaned forward, voice quieter now. "You keep using words like complain and whine, but the reality is that millions of people suffer silently." "I talk so they don't have to." Megyn nodded slowly, pretending to absorb his words. "And yet somehow, every conversation comes back to you." The audience sat in silence. Harry's fingers tapped against the armrest. His eyes didn't leave hers. "This isn't a hit piece, is it?" he asked. She smiled coldly. "No, Prince. This is accountability." He sat back, nodding once. "Right. Accountability from someone who's made a career out of taking people down to boost her ratings." Megyn didn't flinch. "That may be true," she said coolly, "but I own it." The Harry leaned in, the quiet in his voice now more pointed. "And that's the difference. I'm trying to heal. You're trying to provoke." She clapped her hands once, as if he'd made her point for her. "Oh, believe me, you've healed. You've healed your wallet, your brand, your global identity. But let me ask you something, Harry. Have you even tried to heal your relationship with your own father?" He paused. His lips parted slightly, but nothing came out. Silence live, unedited, Megyn saw the hesitation and struck again. "That's what I thought," she said. He narrowed his eyes. "You have no idea what that relationship is like." "I know enough," she said. "I know that your father walked you down the aisle, stood by you when the press dragged Megyn, and has remained publicly silent while you published private letters in a memoir." Harry's expression hardened. "He stood by the institution, not by me." "And what about your brother?" she pressed. He shook his head. "You don't get to ask me about my family like you know them." She smiled thinly. "I don't have to know them. I'm just reading what you wrote." Harry looked out at the audience for a moment. Then he spoke slowly, deliberately. "Do you know what it's like to walk behind your mother's coffin in front of the entire world? To be told not to cry. To be told to keep your head up because cameras are watching, not because it's the right thing, but because it looks better in the press." Megyn stared at him, expression unreadable. And then, Harry continued, "You grow up and realize that same system is the one feeding lies to the public, turning your wife into a villain for existing, for breathing, for being herself. And you wonder, when does it stop?" Megyn finally leaned back. "You're very good at this," she said. Harry looked confused. "At what?" "Making everyone else the villain in your story." That's when the tension finally cracked. He sat forward, his voice sharper now. "You're not interested in hearing anything. You came here to lecture, to humiliate, to turn this into a soundbite." She raised her brows. "And you came here thinking it would be easy." The Harry shook his head. "I came here hoping for a conversation, not a cross-examination." Megyn folded her arms. "Then maybe next time, pick a different show." The lights above seemed to dim slightly as the tension in the room swelled. No one interrupted. No one dared. Because somehow, even though nothing had been thrown, no one had raised their voice, the exchange had begun to spiral. And that spiral was only getting tighter. The studio floor was so still, even the sound crew had stopped moving. Prince Harry sat rigid, staring at Megyn Kelly as if he were deciding whether to leave or fight back. The crowd didn't know whether to clap, gasp, or just wait for someone to break the silence. Megyn adjusted her posture, perfectly calm. "I'm curious, Harry," she said, eyes locked on his. "When you speak about healing, do you mean healing your trauma or your image?" Harry exhaled through his nose. "You know what's sad? You're not asking that because you care. You're asking because it makes good TV." Megyn tilted her head. "You're here on my show, Prince. Let's not pretend you were lured here in handcuffs." "I came to talk about mental health," he said, voice rising slightly. "I came to talk about veterans, anxiety trauma, things people carry alone. And yet you can't go 10 minutes without dragging your own family into it." She shot back. "At what point does accountability become just blaming everyone but yourself?" That struck something. Harry leaned in, voice now firmer. "I'm not blaming people. I'm telling the truth." "No," she replied. "You're telling your version of it." He stared at her. "So are you." That was the first time the audience murmured, a low hum uncertain, watching this unfold like a chess match where no one was winning. "I have opinions," Megyn said. "You have a memoir." "I have memories," he replied. "You have a PR strategy." Harry laughed under his breath, bitter. "Is that what this is?" "You think I came here with a PR team whispering in my ear?" She shrugged. "You seem rehearsed." He looked her straight in the eye. "You seem bitter." That landed. Megyn's smile faltered for a flicker of a second. The first sign that Harry's words had found something she hadn't prepared for. "I'm not bitter," she said coolly. "I'm just tired of watching someone with the world at his feet act like a victim in every interview." "I was a victim," he snapped, "of a system that raised me like a brand, not a person. And yet you're here using that brand to cash in on every trauma you can name," she said. "If the system broke you, why are you still milking it?" He leaned forward again. Because maybe someone else is watching this right now. Someone in their room. Thinking no one understands what they're going through. And maybe this tells them they're not alone. She rolled her eyes. Spare me the hero complex. Harry was still. His voice dropped to something colder. Spare me the fake outrage. That silenced her. Even the other co-hosts, who had mostly watched in quiet awe, exchanged glances now. One of them finally spoke. A younger woman, who'd been mostly silent. Maybe we can take a moment to breathe here, she said carefully, trying to shift the tone. But Megyn waved her off. No. Let's be clear. I'm not outraged. I'm just done pretending that Prince Harry is some tragic figure who's been robbed of peace. He left a palace, married a Hollywood actress, moved to a mansion in California, and now sits on talk shows explaining how hard it's been. That's not bravery. That's branding. Harry didn't blink. I'd rather brand myself than be branded by a system that never saw me as human. You were seen, she fired back. By a country. By the Commonwealth. By people who named their kids after your mother. Who cried when she died. Who watched you with hope. His eyes darkened. They didn't see me, he said. They saw a symbol, and when I stopped playing the part, they turned on me. Just like you are now. Megyn crossed her arms. Or maybe when you stopped playing the part, they saw who you really are, and didn't like it. Harry's knuckles clenched on the armrest. Then that says more about them than me. It says something about you too, she said. Because real growth isn't just burning down what hurt you. It's facing it. It's rebuilding. You walked away and blamed everyone else for the ashes. He narrowed his eyes. You speak like someone who's never lost control of her life. I've lost control of plenty, she said. I just didn't write a book about it. Harry smirked. You just built an entire show where you interrupt people for a living. The crowd did react that time. A few claps, a few gasps. Megyn's smile returned, wide, unbothered. Careful, Harry. You're starting to sound like someone who can't handle pushback. No, he said. I'm just not used to people mistaking cruelty for honesty. Her eyes glinted. And I'm not used to people mistaking victimhood for virtue. They stared at each other again. The air between them felt like it might shatter. I know what you're trying to do, he said, quieter now. You want me to snap. To storm off. To prove your point. She smiled. Go ahead. Then, Harry sat back unfazed. I'll stay right here, he said, because unlike you, I didn't come here to win. I came here to talk. Well then, Megyn said, her voice suddenly calm again. Talk. But don't expect me to clap when the speech ends. He looked away for the first time toward the audience. I don't need applause, he said. I need people to listen. And they did. The silence now was no longer uncomfortable. It was heavy, absorbing. Megyn blinked slowly, perhaps realizing she hadn't shaken him as easily as she'd expected. But she wasn't done. She leaned forward one last time, her voice deceptively soft. Let me ask you something real, Harry. Just one question. He met her eyes again. She paused, then asked, do you ever wish you were just anonymous again? Harry's expression changed, just slightly. And for the first time all afternoon, he didn't answer right away. Harry stared at her. The question lingered like fog, not cruel, not sarcastic, just quiet. Do you ever wish you were just anonymous again? His mouth opened slightly, but no words came. Megyn didn't move. She didn't smirk. It wasn't a trap this time. It was a needle through the moment. And for a few seconds, Prince Harry looked exactly like what he had once been. A boy walking behind a coffin, wearing a suit too big for his shoulders and a pain too heavy for his heart. I don't know, he said, finally. Megyn blinked. That wasn't the answer she expected. I don't know, he repeated. Because anonymity is peace. But it's also invisibility. And I've spent too much of my life being invisible to the people closest to me. Megyn's tone shifted. You think you were invisible. In every room, he said. They saw a title, a role, a duty. No one asked if I was okay. I mean, really okay. He looked out at the audience again, then back to her. You think I want attention, that I crave it. But I didn't choose this life. I inherited it. I adapted to survive it. Megyn sat still, lips pursed. I believe people go through pain, she said. I just struggle when they use it to excuse bad decisions. Harry nodded once. Fair. But if you'd grown up in a world where emotion was weakness, where therapy was shameful, where silence was loyalty, how would you have coped? She didn't answer. You wouldn't, he said. You'd perform. You'd smile. You'd wave. And then, when the lights go off, you'd collapse. The audience was dead quiet now. Not even a cough. Harry went on. I left to protect my family. But I also left to protect myself. Because I knew if I stayed, I'd disappear completely. Megyn leaned back. For once, she didn't interrupt. He continued, voice calm but sharp. And here's the part you never say aloud, Megyn. The system you're defending, it loves obedience. It rewards silence. But it has no idea what to do with honesty, or grief, or someone like me. Megyn folded her hands in her lap. You say that like you're the only one who ever had to face grief. Harry's gaze didn't waver. I'm not the only one, he said. But I was the only one told to smile through it for the cameras. She nodded slowly. So you broke the rules. He smiled faintly. I was never given the choice to follow them. Megyn inhaled through her nose, gathering herself. You know, she said finally. People don't hate you for being honest. They hate you because you made it feel like everyone else was dishonest. Your family, your country, the press. Anyone who disagreed with you? That's not what I said. But that's how it feels. She shot back. You paint yourself as the only one brave enough to speak. I never said I was brave, he replied. I said I was done being quiet. She leaned in again, voice a shade cooler. Do you ever think that, maybe, being quiet would have preserved more than it destroyed? Harry smiled without humor. And what exactly do you think I destroyed? She shrugged. A monarchy's image, a family's dignity, the mystery of what went on behind closed doors. He looked at her squarely. Then maybe those things weren't worth preserving. The tension cracked again, but this time, not with anger. It was more unsettling than that. Megyn reached for her mug, sipped, then asked without emotion, Is there anyone left in your family you still speak to? Harry didn't flinch. That's not something I'll talk about here. She nodded. Because they've stopped speaking to you. He held her gaze. Because I still want to protect what's left. Well, for once, Megyn blinked. Ironic, she said quietly. After everything you've shared. Harry leaned forward just slightly. Sharing my experience doesn't mean I owe you every corner of my life. I speak so people know they're not alone. That's not exposure. That's service. And the money? She asked, still sipping her coffee. I can do both, he said. Speak truthfully and build a future. Those aren't enemies. She raised an eyebrow. And you don't think people resent that? He smiled. I'm sure they do. But resentment says more about the person feeling it than the one receiving it. Megyn set her mug down slowly. There was no applause, no closing music. Just her, facing a man she hadn't broken. Well, she said finally. This has been unexpected, he nodded. You expected a meltdown. She didn't deny it. I expected a prince who couldn't take heat. Harry shrugged. You got a man who's already walked through fire. And with that, Megyn leaned back, folding her arms. I guess we're done here. Harry stood up, adjusting his jacket. I think we were done the moment you stopped listening. He turned to the audience and gave a small, respectful nod. Then walked off the stage. No storming. No shouting. Just silence and the weight of everything said and unsaid. The camera lingered on Megyn's face. Her smile was gone. Her eyes followed him. And for the first time since he arrived, she looked uncertain. not about what he said, but about whether she had underestimated him. If you made it this far, you're the kind of person this conversation was for. Subscribe for more confrontations that peel back the smiles and find the scars beneath. Comment below. Do you think Prince Harry is misunderstood or just too used to getting his way? Your voice matters here. Until next time.